Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa, and this is Beauty Brains and Books. I am a little bit crunched for time today, but I wanted to share all of the books that I've recently hauled with you guys. Most of these are going to be fantasy, but we do have some like romance, some memoirs, some contemporary fiction, some horror novels, which is interesting. I'm not a big horror reader. Yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And I do just want to preface by saying that I know very little about these books. I am very much the type of person that likes to know very little when going into books, especially if the book's popular. Like, I've kind of heard it beat to death already, but sometimes that may deter me from wanting to read a book. Sometimes it excites me to want to read a book because I feel like it is going to align with my personal tastes. And so I feel that these books do that. Oh, I guess I should also mention too that some of these were gifted to me by my husband. Some of them I picked up myself. Most of them are from my husband. Some of them he knew that I wanted, some of them he did not. So there is kind of a mixed bag there. The first two books that I want to talk about and I'm so excited to jump into is Swordcatcher and the Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. This is the first installment. This is the second one that just came out. I have not actually read anything by Cassandra Clare. I've seen her series throughout the years, like The Clockwork Angel, Infernal Devices. I think there's another one. I didn't really want to jump into those because they were YA, and sometimes I do like YA, sometimes I don't. I find that I feel a little bit frustrated, and it's because it feels juvenile to me, because I'm not the intended audience. I'm in my 30s, but every now and then I like a good YA. If I like this one, I might jump back into that one. The consensus so far that everybody has said is that this one is a little bit different from Clockwork Angel and the Infernal Devices. And so it makes me a little bit curious. This one I've also heard is a little bit slower. It's a little bit more character driven. That is right up my alley with fantasy. I love character driven novels, period. But in a fantasy, I can do with very little plot if the character is done well and it's an in-depth study, especially if they are unpredictable, right? If they're morally gray, if they have things to offer up. If I know too much about them too quickly, and the book is mainly driven by plot, that's fine. I can get on board with that if the payoff is worth it. But I feel like what really draws me to a book and makes me connect with a book is the character work. So I am excited for this one. I know very little. Again, it says forbidden love, dangerous magic, and a secret that could break the kingdom. Let the Chronicles of Castellane begin. So I know that this takes place in Castellane. I know that there's an orphanage where there's two boys. One of the boys is handpicked to serve as like a body double for the king. And so his purpose in life is to serve the king. This I don't think is classified as a romantasy. I think it's a fantasy with romantic elements versus the other way around. But yeah, I am super excited. I cannot wait to get into this, you guys. The next book that I want to talk about is The Will of the Many by James Islington. I've heard it both ways. This one you've probably heard of. I've heard that it's similar to Red Rising and that there is an underdog of sorts. He is trying to infiltrate a larger system. He's trying to work his way up through the ranks to, disseminate. I know that this is the first in a series and that it is modeled after the Roman Empire. You kind of get that with the cover with the large columns, but yeah, I'm excited to jump into this one. I saw this on a lot of booktubers, best books of 2024. And so I am very excited to jump into this one. I will say I'm a little bit intimidated. I'm used to reading big books, but for some reason, I just feel like this one is going to make me, flex the old brain muscle, which I love to do. But I have to be in the mood to do that, right? Sometimes I like something that is a little bit more fast paced. I feel like lately with the sun shining and being outside more and trying to get hooked on good TV shows and different things, like I'm really having to prioritize time to read, even though I love reading. I've always loved reading since I was a kid, but I just feel like the books that I'm leaning towards have been ones that I can just fly through and can keep me, engaged without having to go too deep into world building, into character development, I don't know if that makes sense, but I know I'm not the only one. Okay, the next two books that I got, I'm also really excited to jump into, and I feel like these are fantasies that I will be able to fly through, and that is Ignore the bargain book sticker. I did get these from Book Outlet. This is Five Broken Blades by Mike Corland. Beautiful sprayed edges there. And then my husband actually picked up Four Ruined Realms.
Side by side.
Beautiful. And then there's even some cloud detail on the top. This was pitched to me as a Korean-inspired Suicide Squad. Morley Gray, unlikable. Like, you are meant to not like them. Characters band together for a bigger purpose. In this case, it's bringing down the King of Yusan. And of course, with characters like that, they all have their own, they're all driven by their own motivations. They all have their own hidden agendas. They're all selfish. They're all detestable. And I love it. I just eat that up. The back says, let the best liar win. And then obviously, with the second book, I don't know too much going in, but I do know that the back says, the lies have just begun. I've heard that they read like YA, but they're adult. They have adult themes, which I can get on board with. The next one on my list is one that my husband picked up on a whim. I did not even have this on my radar, and that is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Again, don't really know too much about this one. I do know that it's a romantasy. I feel like I've seen some mixed reviews online. Not mixed reviews in terms of like, I shouldn't say mixed reviews. I've heard multiple ways of this book being described, and I'm like, okay, so what is it about? Like, I'm really not grasping what this book is actually about, but I do know that it's a romantasy. I know that this one has a little bit more of those intricacies, and it's going to help me, you know, like I said, flex the old brain muscle. I do know that this one has dragons. This is beautiful. I think that's why he picked it up. He was drawn to the cover and the sprayed edges. So I am excited to get into that one. I feel like I'm saying that for every single book, but I'm excited. Books excite me. And if you're here, they probably excite you too. Next one I've actually already read. You can find my thoughts on this in my January wrap up, but this is Air by Sabaa Tahir. I love An Ember in the Ashes. The whole Ember Quartet I feel like is flawless. That is one of the only YA fantasy series that I can really get behind. There are obviously several that I haven't read yet, but this one it's hard to compare. I don't feel like I liked it as much. My recommendation, though, would be to read An Ember in the Ashes first, because this is set in the same world. And if you don't read that one first, you're not really going to understand some of the heavy hitters in this duology. But this follows multiple POV. We have Saoirse, a tracker. We have Ais, who's an orphan. There's Jasmine, who's an orphan from the slums. And then we have Quill, the crown prince, who is Helene Aquila's nephew. And so their lives intertwine. I don't want to say too much more than that because it will kind of spoil it. Forbidden romance. It's more of like a desert fantasy. I don't know if I should say enemies to lovers, but I guess you could call it that. But anyway, okay, continuing with the fantasy, I have The Stars Are Dying by Chloe Peñaranda. And then I also have the second book, which is The Night is Dying by Chloe Peñaranda. These books are stunning. Again, my husband saw these at Sam's and he was like, oh my gosh, these would look so cool on her shelves. There's beautiful artwork in here. Yeah, even like, look at that. Stunning. Stunning. I will say, I read a chapter or two of this. And I'm not really jiving with the writing style, but I am going to stick with it. I'm going to give it a fair shot because my husband bought it. I own them, and why not? I also have heard that the second book is better than the first, but I don't know too much about this other than it's a romantasy that has vampires and deadly trials. So Estrella, who's our main character, it says that she's a prisoner of her own mind. So once she basically makes contact with this vampire named Night, he kind of like infiltrates her thoughts, and she not only can't stop thinking about him, but he can communicate with her through her thoughts. And so she's betrothed to somebody else. She obviously wants to be with Night. And I'm not sure where the succession of the trials comes in. Again, I don't really know, but I am excited to kind of get into it and give you guys my thoughts, especially like going in blind. I feel like there's no expectation, right? The expectation isn't set very high or low. It's just, what am I going to think? What does the story entail? And you know, did I enjoy the characters? Did I enjoy the plot? Did I enjoy the setting? this, that, and the third. The last fantasy book that I have to talk to you guys about is Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wong. This is everywhere right now. If you haven't heard of it, you've probably been living under a rock. This is a special edition that my husband picked up with the red sprayed edges. Beautiful book. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I'm super excited to jump into it. I do know that it follows a woman who is attempting to pursue a career as a high mage. There are no female high mages in this society, and so it kind of talks about misogyny and, you know, a patriarchal society and things of that nature. I've heard that this does, in a standalone, because this is only one book, which is so nice and so refreshing, honestly, as I've started so many series. But this is a standalone that does what a 4-book series or 3-book series trilogy attempts to do, is what I've heard online. So I am super excited for this one. Okay, sorry if things look a little bit different. I did have to stop the video to take care of something. I also shut that door because I feel like that light was really annoying when I look back at the footage, but let's just go ahead and continue. So besides the fantasy that I just showed you, I'm not going to walk over there and get them, but I did, my husband did give me Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. I'm not gonna lie, I did buy into the Onyx Storm hype a little bit. I got a little bit of FOMO because it came out and it was such a big deal, and I was like, what is everybody reading? And so my husband did purchase those for me. I did read Fourth Wing. I liked it. I mean, it wasn't like the best piece of literature I've ever read, but it was fun. It was a good time. I did not like Iron Flame. I gave that 2 stars, and I'm not gonna lie, Iron Flame kind of perturbed me from wanting to jump into Onyx Storm, but it is something that I'm prioritizing. I might as well. I know that there's supposed to be 5 books total in the series, and I think that they're supposed to come out relatively quickly, like 9 months apart. So if Onyx Storm came out in January, that means that the next book should be out before the end of this year. So I do want to get to that one. Yeah, let's just go ahead and continue with the other books that I got. So jumping into sort of like the horror-esque books, this one is going to be Rouge by Mona Awad. I have not read Bunny yet. I'm not gonna lie, I am very like, I am being persuaded by Kitty Coulson. She loves Bunny. She has a whole like Bunny support group, book club. It's based around that book. They all do a reread and try to find little like Easter eggs in the book, and I think that that's super cool, really fun, really like unique. So I wasn't sure if I should try to pick Bunny up before I read this one, but this one just sounds really good to me. This one follows Belle, and it says that Belle is obsessed with beauty, and you know, her mom, what happens? Her mom passes away, and so she comes back to wherever they're from. I think it's like in California. Her mom passes away, so she goes to California to try to like get some questions answered as far as like, okay, what happened to my mom? And her mom was also like a beauty buff, and so she falls into her mom's like inner circle and starts to learn like the sort of like underground that her mom was involved in, and it says the links that we will go to for beauty. So I don't know, this sounds super creepy and super interesting. It says here it's Black humor and seductive horror. Rouge holds up a warped mirror to our relationship with mortality, the cult-like nature of the beauty industry, I know you guys know what I mean, and the danger of internalizing its pitiless gaze. So I am like, I don't know, I might just jump into this, and then if I like it, I might start with her backlog. I know she has another book out. I saw it the other day at Barnes & Noble. I can't remember what it's called, but the next one that I've got is one that I have read before. I just really wanted to own it, and that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Y'all, this book was so good. It is, what do they call it? Like epistolary, where it's told in the form of letters. It's about Dracula's wife and her conception, right? Like how Dracula turned her into a vampire and sort of their life together since then, because, you know, they can't die. So this is centuries of abuse and just all kinds of things that she goes through with Dracula. I loved this. It was my best book of 2023. I'll probably do a reread of it come like October or the fall, because this is the vibes, you guys. I'm telling you. It's funny because I would have owned this sooner, but the original cover with like the little like cartoony monster looking bride, I hated that one. I feel like that was so ugly. This is stunning. You know what? We did forget a fantasy. I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. That is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I read Legends and Lattes, again, I think in 2023. I thought it was so cute. It was my first cozy fantasy. This one is following Viv's time in the battlefield, because in that one, I don't know if you read Legends and Lattes, but in that one, she was kind of like retiring from her battle days, her warrior days, and she wanted to open this little coffee shop in a world where nobody like knew what coffee was. It was very, and like she's encountering all these obstacles. High fantasy world, but very low stakes and very cozy. There's a cute romance in there. So I really like that one. And I've heard that this one is a little bit more fast paced. So I don't know when I want to get into this one. I feel like probably closer to fall, but I own it. So, okay. I've picked up a lot of horror ones. Okay, so this one is A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. This is my first T. Kingfisher that I will pick up. I do want to read Sword Heart as well. This one's a little bit different. This one is almost like, it's very short. How many pages is this? 150 pages. So almost like a horror novella. It's about a girl named Sam, and Sam grows up in the South. I think it's like Mississippi. It doesn't say, but she grows up in the South in this quaint little home with her mom, and she lives like this cute little life. And she decides to leave. I think she like leaves and goes to college. And when she comes back, something happens. There's like a death in the family or something, and it drives her back home. And when she comes home, things are not the same. Her mother is not the same, and the house is not the same. It's very sterile. It has been completely redone. Her mom is like acting like a freak and is jumpy, and Sam is trying to unravel what the hell is happening with her mom and with the house. I don't know how gruesome it's going to get. It just, the premise sounded really good. And honestly, I'm a sucker for any Southern anything, like Southern romance, Southern Gothic, Southern, anything set in the South, like small town vibes. I eat it up. I love it. I live in the South. I'm in Texas. I'm not necessarily in like the teeniest, tiniest town, but yeah, I just love that setting. If you guys have good recommendations for books set in the South, please let me know, because I'm always on the hunt for a good one. I feel like I've read a couple that they're okay, and then I've read some that are amazing and give me everything I want in terms of setting. And I really don't care like what's going on plot wise. Like it doesn't have to, I don't, it could be across multiple genres. I just love books set in the South. So the last like horror-esque one is The Reformatory by Tanner Dew. This was another one that I saw on everybody's best books of 2024. It was so intriguing to me. This takes place in the Jim Crow South, and it is following 12-year-old Robbie Stevens. So in Gracetown, Florida, specifically in 1950. Segregation was still happening. Robbie is falsely accused of a crime, or no, he's falsely accused of, I think, harming another boy who was picking on his little sister. So it was just, he was acting out of self-defense, but nonetheless, he is taken in to this reformatory or home for boys. And Robbie has this weird ability. I think that he can like see ghosts or something like that. And so he sees the ghosts of this reformatory who's passed through there, what kind of awful things have transpired there. This sounds so good. It sounds like it's going to address some really heavy, hard-hitting themes, and I don't know. I think that's why I have avoided it up until this point, because when I bought it, I had intended to read it the minute I got it, and there was something that was just kind of pushing me back, and I think it's because I need to be in the right headspace to go into this, but I am very excited for this nonetheless. Here I have two like contemporary fictions. This is When We Lost Our Heads by Heather O'Neill. I've never read anything by Heather O'Neill, but this one, it sounds so good. This says, every decent friendship comes with a drop of hatred, but that hatred is like honey in the tea. It makes it addictive. I know this follows a little girl. Yeah, Marie Antoine, and she is the daughter of the richest man in the 19th century. She's a socialite. She thinks that she is God's gift to this earth. She thinks that she is the smartest, the most beautiful, the wealthiest, and nobody can compare to her, right? Like she is above everybody else. Everybody else are just peasants in her eyes, until she meets another little girl that moves into the neighborhood. And this little girl is just as witty as she is, just as pretty as she is. And she feels like she's got some, like, they're best friends, but it's also competition. And I think there's some sort of a romance that spirals. Like their friendship essentially turns into a relationship that spirals, and it sounds really good. It sounds like it's gonna be really fast paced and addicting. I've seen mixed reviews. Some people have rated this 5 stars. Some people who were super excited rated it 3 stars. Again, that's very vague. I don't really know if that's because there's not a good payoff, or like if they just didn't like the ending. But I'm excited to get into this one. The next contemporary that I got is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. I have also read this one as well. I just figured I would talk about it because it is new. It is a debut novel. I actually picked this up at Barnes & Noble off the cover alone. I just thought it was very cute. All the blueberries on the front. It does deal with some heavy themes, so definitely check your trigger warnings. But this follows an Indigenous family that lives in Nova Scotia, Canada. And there's 5 siblings, and the mom and the dad. And they all essentially have to work together to like do odd jobs and different things to keep food on the table because they are very poor. And one of those jobs that they do is picking blueberries in the fields of Maine in the States in the summertime. And one summer while they're there, their youngest 4-year-old Ruthie goes missing. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil it for you. I actually, like I said, I picked this up for the cover. I went into it blind. This is extremely poignant. It's a little bit slower pace, but I think what kept driving me through the book was I wanted to know what happened to Ruthie. And you do get that resolution, but you also get an incredibly deep character study of Joe, her brother, who was with her the day of the disappearance, and how it has affected not only him, but the whole family, and the unraveling that happens when a major event like that takes place. So I thought it was really good. Like I said, cute cover, heavy subject material. All right, and the last 2 that I have to talk about, I picked up a romance. Who am I? Again, this is hyped right now, but I was like, I could give that a shot. This is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I'm not gonna lie, I am intrigued to read Bride by Ali Hazelwood as well. But this one follows a competitive diver and an ace swimmer into forbidden waters in this steamy college romance. Forbidden romance, steamy. I know that this has like themes of BDSM, but a lot of people have said that it is done extremely well. It's not like weird or creepy or over the top. And I'm excited. I know one of my goals for 2023 was actually to read more romance. I've been trying different ones and trying to find where I fall into the romance category. What do I like? Do I like spice? Do I not like spice? Do I want, I don't know. There's just, it's such a broad genre. I'm really just trying to find my niche and what I enjoy within the romance genre. But I love this, like the pool water, sprayed edges, and it's got some like artwork there. Looks pretty hot and heavy to me, so I don't know, I'm excited for that one. And then the last book is a memoir. This is the second memoir I believe that I picked up this year so far, or that I'm going to pick up, and that is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. I know that I'm going to be crying when I read this one, you guys. I've heard that this one is especially touching. This follows Michelle Zauner, who I believe is Korean American. She lives in Philly. Yeah. So it says that this is Zauner's searingly candid coming of age story, growing up apart from and then back together with her Korean identity and forging her own path in the wake of a devastating loss. I know that she loses her mom, and she never really like staked the claim of her Korean, heritage or identity or culture or customs. It was always kind of like at war with it. And then her mom passes away, and she just wants to feel close to her mom again. So she starts to adapt. I think it's through Korean cuisine, if I'm not mistaken. She makes different dishes that her mom used to make her, and then her grandmother used to make her when she was small, just to like deal with the grief. But yeah, I am excited to get to that one as well. Those are all the books that I have to show you guys today. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you in my next one.